We're going to go ahead and get started here. If you want to, you can turn over to Hosea chapter 6. We're going to be in Hosea 6 and 7 today. But as we get started, we are going through this series in Hosea. I'm Matt. I'm one of the leaders here at East Valley, and I'm excited to go through this passage with you. There's a lot we're going to try to cover. Last week, we went through about 3 verses, which was great. This week, we're going to go through about 21 or 22 verses. So hold on to your seats. We're going to see how far we can get through this. But as we've gone through Hosea, we've gone through this very specific pattern, which has been love and judgment, love and judgment. This has been kind of the pattern, the seasons of all of this. And as we get going, I wanted to try to describe to you what's happening here. Because when you think about God's love and His judgment, a lot of us can say, oh yeah, I get that. That makes sense. God is very loving to some people, and He's very judgmental towards other people because they're the good people, and then there are the bad people. But what I want us to try to kind of wrap our minds around a little bit today is the idea that both of these things are happening at the exact same time. I'm from Iowa, and so a staple meal almost every single day was meat or chicken. Most of the time it was pork because we just have a lot of pigs out there. We've got meat, we've got potatoes, we've got a vegetable, maybe some sort of carbs, some sort of dinner roll off to the side just to kind of make it look all nice. But really, every single meal was the same. It was 3 separate things. You had the meat, you had the potatoes, you had the vegetable, sat it on a plate. It was delicious. It was how I lived my life. But what happens when you take 3 things, multiple things that are good, and you put them together? And that's what we're going to try to see what happens here right now. Because what happens in Hosea is that it's not just simply, oh, God's characteristics sometimes shows up over here, sometimes over here. In fact, what you wind up seeing is that God throws in everything and every piece of His character at all times. It's not He is a multi-personality disorder. He takes everything and puts it in. And so with His love, His mercy, His judgment, His wrath, He takes all of it. Where did I put my lid? Right here. Maybe just a little bit of water because, you know, what goes better with meat and potatoes than some sort of liquid? And I don't want to burn out my motor. I feel like I'm a culinary. I should be like commentating this. This is the greens and JK, would you like a smoothie? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do this at all. As you look at that, that's a lot messier, right? You've got. It's messy. I don't want you to have to smell or throw up on this, but does that look pretty good? Yeah, I'm going to keep it away from Kendra. But you got everything mixed up into one. Instead of it being, oh, can you go back to the original title slide, Alex? Instead of you got the love and the judgment and the justice and over here, and you got these clear lines of, oh, this makes sense. All of a sudden what we're going to see in Hosea is that you throw everything into the same pot, and it all gets mixed up into this one sloppy, messed up kind of thing. And so what we're going to see with my mess that I just created is that we are going to see today in Hosea chapter 6 and 7 that God's judgment and His love happen at the same time. And the struggle that I had this week was that it's really easy for me to just say, yeah, God doesn't like the bad people and He really likes the good people. But what happens, and here's today's question, is what happens when these are the one and the same people? When God looks at it and says, hey, the evil people, the sinful people are the people that I love. What do I do in that situation? Because it could be really easy for us to just discount it and say, oh, well, God would just clearly judge those people that are bad and clearly love those people that are good. But in Hosea 6, it's talking about Israel. It's talking about His chosen people. And that is today's question, which is, what does He do? What does God do when the people that he loves are the evil people. And it's not too far off from what's happening today, because we all know people, we all know believers who have claimed to know and to love God, and they've walked away from the faith. We all know churches that once preached the gospel, once were steadfast on the truth, and now are not. I mean, even to the point where we can look at ourselves, and we should look at ourselves and realize, hey, this could be us. I could be that person that walks away from the faith. We are all susceptible to it. And so the question becomes, what is the Lord going to do with his evil people that he loves? What is he going to do with this group of people? So from chapter 6, verse 1 through 3, last week, he told us, hey, there's a future plan. We are going to deal with this. This is going to happen. But today, what is he going to do right now? So starting in Hosea chapter 6, verse 4 through 6, we start to get an answer to this question. It starts off in chapter 6, verse 4, and it says that it is to Ephraim. Hey, what am I going to do with you, Ephraim? And what am I going to do with you, Judah? This is Israel, the northern kingdom, and Judah, the southern kingdom. They're divided at this point because of the past, but these two nations are both Jewish people. It's not like, hey, there's the Russians over here and the Americans over here. It's the same group of people. These people are brothers, cousins, family members that are all a part of the same group, and they are God's chosen people. I think the best way that we could describe God's chosen people is on the screen. We've got Romans chapter 9, verse 4 and 5, and it describes how God views the Jewish people. It says, they are Israelites, and to them belong the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the temple service, and the promises. The ancestors are theirs. You've got Abraham and Jacob and Isaac. You've got Moses. You've got these big people's names that you can track back. And from them, the physical descendant, came the Christ, who is God over all, praised forevermore. Amen. You look at this description of Israel, and you see all these attributes, all these things that God has given and chosen to give to them by his grace. These nations are God's chosen people. And God has poured out his faithful, his merciful, his compassion, his everlasting, his abundant, his amazing love on this group of people. And his question is, what am I going to do with you? This question is not like hey, what are we going to do for your birthday party? This is a despair, frustration. What am I going to do with you? Why is this going wrong the way that it's gone wrong? In Hosea chapter 6, verse 4, here's what it says. It says, what am I going to do with you, Ephraim? What am I going to do with you, Judah? Your love is like the morning mist and like the early dew that vanishes. Because Israel's vanishing love, like mist and dew, and we don't get this in the desert with the lack of humidity, but when you wake up in the Midwest and you in the summertime and you see all the grass blades that are covered in water, after a couple hours, it's all gone. The mist goes away, it vanishes. And it says because that vanishing love, it's gone, it disappears when the sun appears. It's this reality that you can say, I love you. And I love you is a powerful statement. The first time that I ever told Emery that I loved her was the night that I proposed to her. And you might be surprised by that. You might say, yeah, whatever. But the reason I decided to wait to say I love you to Emery until that moment wasn't because I didn't love her before then, but it was because I didn't want to tell somebody I love you unless I was going to promise my life to that person. On the other end of it, Israel has said, I love you, God. Yeah, I love you. That's fine. I love you. And then they go off and they act a completely opposite direction. They could just negate and betray the words that are in their mouth. The Hollywood love is I love you, but not right now. I love you, but I don't really feel like it right now. I found somebody else. You don't do enough for me. I don't feel it anymore. There's a better option over here. And that's exactly what Israel has fallen into. Their love has vanished. It'd be like proposing marriage, but putting the caveat on the marriage and saying, hey, let's get married, but let's not live in the same house.